Six Flags Great Northwest. I'm gonna screw his name up, I know, by Jesse 1234. I don't really know where to start with this. This is definitely a park I'm so unsure of how to think about it. Because on one side, it's really, really nicely made. And you have some really awesome architecture and some cool new uses of objects with these diagonal benches. They don't really work with peeps that well. Some cool flats. I mean, all the coasters are pretty well worked. I guess I don't like the layouts, but we can talk about that. I mean, at a glance, everything looks really, really nice. I mean, I love the layout of this park. It just, it doesn't. It's kind of natural feeling, and everything's spaced out really nicely. I mean, he has areas where there's nothing like this. That would make total sense. I mean, not every inch is a ride. There's space between everything, and it's that aspect is I really like. At the same time, being a Six Flags park, I mean, I've never been to one of the big Six Flags parks, so maybe I'm not the best authority on this kind of stuff, but I'm relatively familiar with a lot of them, at least, from pictures and stuff like that. The problem with a lot of this is that, it doesn't feel like a Six Flags park, and a lot of this just, like, the architecture, in some cases, feels like direct copies of things, like, especially like this texturing and this entrance feels really, really like Robbie 92. I mean, a lot of things do, but this especially, and especially like a lot of the stuff in the entrance. So I'm kind of like, I don't know really how to feel about that. I mean, there's a lot of really awesome stuff here. I mean, this ride, but it's copied off of Six Flags Santa Fe a lot, and I mean, I really like this Ferris wheel. Actually, it's cool, but the colors not so much. But I mean, there's lots of stuff to like in this park. I mean, there's lots of content, but it just seems like it's missing like a layer of identity and authenticity to justify it, in my opinion. I mean, there's lots of are these one object? No, these are really awesome. These little stalls. And I really liked all this. I mean, these rides. I mean, there's lots of really cool stuff to like, but this is like a layer of just dullness and like rushed. Like it feels like rushed, and I don't know. I mean, some of these coaster layouts too. Can't stand this. But I don't know. It's just very weird. I mean, I don't sound like, oh my god. And I don't know. I mean, this random track, like this is the only place that uses like track attention planners in the entire park, but it just feels like some stuff is definitely focused on like these fencings and some of the foliage and some of the architecture, but everything else, I mean, this feels super rushed. I mean, it's very doesn't feel very balanced. I don't know if that's what it is. I mean, some stuff just feels really nice, and some stuff is totally boring. I mean, some of this architecture feels, I don't know. It's just weird. Like I don't know. It's weird for me. This building too, like, I mean, I guess not every building has to be amazing, and he hides it pretty well, but this is just such a dull building. And this building right here too just feels so out of place. I don't even know what this stuff is. This is fine, but this feels way too colorful compared to everything else in the park for me. I actually really like this rapids and the the building right here. Look at this. Not even talking about that yet. There's lots of really cool ideas too. I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's something about it that just feels really rushed and not that well thought out. He's not really trying to be that true to Six Flags, and then at the same time, like, why would you even bother using the Six Flags name if you're not gonna, you know? And this ride design is awesome, but then at the same time, like, the station and building is like this so boring. It's like there's just so much missed potential as well. I think he could have used there's curved path objects too. That I think would have made this park infinitely better if he would use, because he has all these curved lines. I mean, if he used curved paths, this would have been really awesome. Actually, let me see if I can pull those up. Let's see if we can put some of these down and see. Infinite, like instantly, I think it looks like miles better. It's just like, well, why didn't you use these? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard because I'm like, spotlight. I don't really know. I don't think it's that worth. I don't think it's worthy considering some of the stuff that hasn't won it recently. But same time, I mean, it's really good. So like, I don't really know. Oh my God. In this, I mean, instantly it just looks a million times better with these curved paths. So this is kind of the thing I'm saying, like, I mean, it's really good, but there's so much missed potential with stuff like this. If you just put a little bit more effort into the park, it could have been really, really something, you know, special, but I think we've had some, you know, a bunch of Six Flags parks in the past, and so it's, you know, like, you kind of have to do something to push this over the top of those, at least. And I don't know. I mean, even though Six Flags Santa Fe is super old, and I'm not the biggest fan of that park to begin with, I almost would prefer that because some of the stuff feels a lot more unique and feels like it separates itself from the rest of the parks on New Element a lot better than this, which kind of just feels like part of the canon instead of a standout. Instantly, I think the curves makes it look like miles better. I don't know. I mean, it's hard because I really like this park, but I kind of feel like you have to judge this kind of stuff now. Like this spotlight, because the bar's been raised. So we've had so many everything is spotlight worthy now. It seems, but oh, I don't even really want to talk about this coaster life, but this coaster life just feels all like I can't stand this. You can make this like one taller, and then you won't have to worry about the bump there, and then just pacing is like terrible, and I don't even think this thing has stats. Yeah, like I don't know what the problem is, but Kind of a shame that no peeps can ride it. And the same thing with Mr. Freeze as well. So I think peeps really make this stuff look a lot better. I actually really like this stretch from like this kiddie coaster, you know, back here. It feels like it's really nicely spaced and you can enjoy everything. But this hyper, oh my god, the layout's fine for what it is. I mean, I think the construction of the supports and everything really helps it a lot because it is really strong. But the curve of the drop is like, oh god, that's kind of really frustrating. And this station, I don't think fits that well at all. It's the only place to use there's like tracker texture proofs in the entire park. I don't really mind this coaster that much. And the layout's kind of weird. I mean, for the most part, I mean, I really like this queue entrance, but I mean, this feels really Six Flags. Like, some stuff really does. Totally a Six Flags thing to have, like, a, you know, building like that over the entrance, but some stuff doesn't really. And the only, you know, comic book-esque references he has are Mr. Freeze and Batman, and there's not really much of a Gotham City. I mean, there's these two facades, which, I mean, it makes sense, because Six Flags St. Louis really only has those two rides. This Batman's slightly underwhelming. I mean, some of it's really good, but then, I mean, the station's not that great. Another thing to note is that he doesn't seem to have anything in the foil. I mean, I don't know. Everything in the foil is just kind of yellow or green. I would have liked to see him use a little bit more color. This double launch house is actually really, really awesome. I really like the coverings here. And this building is too. It kind of reminds me of I'm from West Winds near Fury, but. And I really like this parking lot design and like this stuff on the outside of the park. I mean, I really like the overview as well. I think it really looks nice from the overview, where a lot of realistic parks don't. Because I think it looks just really believable because he has space between stuff and it doesn't feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like an RCT park. It feels like a realistic park. So I think it's fine because he can pull it off pretty well, but I mean, he's obviously an extremely talented builder. I just wish he would channel his talents into something in a little bit different way, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I really do enjoy this park. I don't want to sound like a baby or whatever, car baby or whatever, but I don't know. There's some parts that just really fall short. Like these curved things, like I added some of these, and I mean, it looks really nice. And other places, like this little stretch right here, I mean, I love how it uses the brown objects to create like this awesome little bit of landscaping and these fences and the space that he has. And I don't know, it just feels, some parts just feel really rushed, and I don't know, it's such a weird feeling. Because this is awesome, like right here, this stretch right here, but it just doesn't feel that great. Also, I wish you used the newer fences here. It looks terrible. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe like a year or so ago, this would have won Spotlight, but I think now just people are kind of tired of this style, and we've had a lot of really nice realistic parks released recently, so I'm just kind of like, eh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's such a weird. Some of this newer stuff, I mean, I know this is newer. I mean, try to use this color. Some of the colors don't really feel that right, like compared to the rest of the park. I know these buildings are newer too. Like the colors feel a little bit off compared to the rest. Especially this. I mean, I guess I don't know. I can understand the stage building being abandoned because Six Flags doesn't really use them anymore, but. I mean, I quite like this. What is it called? Adventure Tours. This one too, man. There's lots of stuff I mean, I don't know. It's a really nice park, and I'm really glad he finished it. I hope he doesn't, get deterred by people not, voting as valid or whatever. This train feels a bit bizarre how they're so close together. It feels kind of pointless. These are only 2 stations. Yeah, I think so. Does this train really go through the backstage like that? It's kind of weird. Like this building, this is boarded up. I mean, that's really cool. It's a really cool touch, but it's almost like there's like a ride here that they stopped using. Yeah, I think I mean, I'd give the park a 75, and I think it's in that 75 to like 78 range, I'd say. I think I put this slightly above Sunset Vista. I think I like Sunset Vista a lot more, but this park is definitely better. I mean, man, it's just like this open space just works so well. I mean, I really like these buildings too. Just I don't know. And that one thing I want to mention too is these ride names. Kind of disappointing. Swinger. Sasquatch doesn't really make much sense for Shazam. I mean, I don't know. What's this? Oh god. Frisbee. I mean, Six Flags really call their rides like this. Kiddie Ride 1. Hopper. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Six Flags should come up with more interesting names than that. Yeah, and that's something too. Some of this feels a lot more rushed. I mean, there's so much green in the landscaping. It's kind of like, oh, should we use some more color? Some areas. I mean, sometimes it works really well because it does use a lot of colors outside the landscaping, so it doesn't really need to rely on the landscaping for color. I think he does better. I mean, this area kind of feels weird because the color doesn't really feel the same. Stuff like over here. He's a really strong park maker, just hasn't quite reached his full potential yet, I don't think. What's this? I mean, it's really good, but I don't know. I think Batman the White's really popular. It's weird. Sure, comic book character. What is Joker Inc? The swing shift. I mean, it's like too plain for Six Flags. I feel. I mean, I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Six Flags St. Louis, which is obviously kind of modeled on. But even Six Flags St. Louis, I feel like would be more like interesting than this, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of disappointing that he couldn't really finish his park off more than he did, but it's still nice to have it seen, to see it done. I don't know. Yeah. In some way, he's able to pull off, like, normally I can't stand when trees are just out in the open like this, kind of. For some reason, he's able to really pull it off well. I don't know why this is, but he has a lot of like bare tree trunks. I don't know what that is about, but
I don't know. I do really like the park, but this station is really good, but peeps can't ride it. So, I mean, some of this does really feel like Six Flags. I mean, Six Flags does a lot of this kind of stuff. They have like this wide swath of path, and then he has these deep planners. I mean, that's such a Six Flags thing. And these buildings on the entrance to the log flume are awesome, but it's a little too dull. I mean, I think they work enough, but it's weird. I mean, he has a magical touch that make these really dull buildings look really, really nice, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel full. I mean, some of his object choice I feel is a little bit dated. Some of these fences, I mean, like, yeah, you could put a little bit more into these fences or choose something different and look a lot better. Some of these sports and this landscaping just super, like, rushed and dull. Yeah, that's the one coaster feels a little bit boring. I mean, I don't know. Some parts of this stuff is really, really good, and some parts just not good at all. There's one thing I want to mention as well is that some of the screens that he posted, I would assume from this park would look really, really nice. Like he had some different coasters, and I'm kind of disappointed that he didn't include those. I guess it's probably to refine what he wanted the park to be a little bit more. Because initially it just kind of felt like a mix between multiple Six Flags parks and ideas, but in the end, kind of more aligned with Six Flags St. Louis, and it's kind of because of that, it kind of feels a little bit dull in this Hyper. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the color choice in the Hyper. Anyways, I mean, it's a really good park. 75 to 80 for me, but there's like a lot of the lost potential here, and could have been really something special, but something about it doesn't really come together. Other aspects come together super well, but yeah, that's Six Flags.